Welcome to LexLocal. I'm your host, Rick Dorrington. January's behind us and the groundhog saw his shadow. So here we are, folks, the dark days of February. We have a lot to catch up on, so let's jump right in with a hot topic in Lexington, the protest by the teachers union over contract negotiations.
When you look at what the select board is doing, talking to each other, when you look at the budget summits, when you watch them, it is different language than they've used in the past. They are hearing us. They don't like to hear us, but they are listening, okay? So please keep this up. We're doing great. I really appreciate it. So keep at it, all right?
Hi, I'm Jim Shaw, Chairman of the Board of LexMedia. I'm here with the Lexington Education Association. So why are we here today? I understand that you've been at other schools throughout the course of the week, and your message is what?
So the Lexington teachers are we're fighting for a fair contract, and the members at all the various schools are trying to educate the public about the what's going on with the contract negotiations in an effort to try and get us over the finish line. We started in March of 2022, and we've met fairly regularly since.
And there's a little progress, but not the progress that you guys really would hope for.
We have had some agreements, and we are hoping to get to the point where we will get agreements on some of our bigger issues. So we've been getting a lot of really positive response from teachers and especially the students who have just been amazing.
So as students, we are some of the people who see the work that our teachers put in firsthand. We see them at all times of the day, in whatever mood they're in, whatever situation they're in. So we see their struggles. Whenever they're in a situation that needs help, we see that firsthand and we see how it impacts us. So student support is so important, especially when people like the school committee are saying that what they're doing is best for students. Making it clear that what is best for students is what is best for the teachers is so integral to this. We have seen a lot of students see how they can make an impact. They show their support by wearing red on Tuesdays. They show their support on social media. They talk to their teachers. They have pins. We made pins for students to be able to have. They are able to show their support non-verbally in class by being clear that they are here for the teachers.
A lot of us have specified needs, or we need one-on-one time, and teachers here are so willing to provide that, but they can't do that when they have this many students that they need to keep track of, and they deserve the same treatment from their superiors.
So talk to your select board members, talk to the school committee, talk to your town meeting members, and let them know where you stand on this situation. Thank you.
Well, thanks for taking a couple of minutes with us to talk about this.
Another hot topic in town is the need for additional affordable housing. Since last spring, the Planning Board has been working to develop plans to satisfy the state mandate and to satisfy the residents of Lexington. Brian Doda has the update.
When we last reported on how Lexington was working to adopt the new statewide zoning mandate, the Planning Board had just begun holding information sessions to help residents understand what exactly the new zoning means for the town. The board also got opinions from residents on where they think the new multifamily housing should be located.
For the hearing kickoff last Wednesday, there were over 200 people attending on Zoom, which is, in my experience, probably the largest remote attendance for a planning board hearing in my experience. So we are really thrilled that we had that level of engagement with the community.
The zoning changes being proposed would allow already existing lots to be used for multifamily housing, as well as for their current zoning. The lots being proposed solely as residential projects would have a height restriction of 40 feet, or 3 stories. Mixed-use zoning would allow for heights of 55 to 65 feet, or 4 to 5 stories.
The Planning Board's proposal has come forward. When we were last here in the spring, it was still under consideration by the Planning Board, but they worked diligently in the fall and winter and throughout the holidays, meeting almost weekly, evaluating locations. They carefully considered a number of areas in town and have narrowed it down to these 10 areas in Lexington, which is, it's primarily centered around commercial areas in town.
The planning board will continue to hold public discussion until the middle of March. The goal is to get as much public feedback as possible before presenting a plan to town meeting in late March.
I think that in the comprehensive plan process that the board concluded really this past summer, one of the things that repeatedly came up was the need for housing in town, and that was mentioned as a priority both in the comprehensive plan, but in the Vision for Lexington survey that also was done earlier this spring. I think that housing was an element that was consistently mentioned as a need, and more housing is something that the community has indicated it wants.
This has been Brian Doda for LexLocal.
February marks Black History Month, the celebration that grew out of Negro History Week in 1926. The goal is to acknowledge the contributions of African Americans throughout history. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated February as National Black History Month. Lexingtonians kicked off the month by honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Hi, this is Julie from LexMedia on a snowy, blustery day in Lexington. But that doesn't stop this town from honoring Martin Luther King. The day began inside Grace Chapel with an opening ceremony hosted by Lexington poet Reggie Gibson.
So we come sometimes on days like this. We gather in safe space to resurrect, reflect, reconnect, and remember to more profoundly understand. We've come in hopes that your spirit and words can help guide us as we move along the rocky road to the promised land.
Over 200 people participated in candid conversations about race. Lexington's Sean Osborne was recognized by Senator Cindy Friedman and State Rep Michelle Socolo for helping to establish the Massachusetts Emancipation Day.
Sean Osborne called me up and said, hey, I want to tell you a story about somebody, and that person was Clock Walker. Clock Walker was a slave who was abused by his master and believed that he, I'll give you the really short version, should be emancipated. And what he did was he actually found a lawyer and sued for his independence. His at that time, master did not agree or approve and refused to let him go. The case went up to the Supreme Court. We're talking around 1781, 1782, and the Supreme Court ruled that it is against the Constitution of Massachusetts to employ slaves or to have slavery. And so Massachusetts was one of the first states, if not the first state, to outlaw slavery as part of its because of its Constitution. So Sean came to me and said, this amazing thing happened and nobody knows about it. Can we do something? And we filed a bill to honor and acknowledge Clock Walker Day and Emancipation Day in this Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is now going to be July 8th. Sean, being the partner that he was, had to go back to the select board and ask for a local proclamation. He had to go to other communities and ask for letters of support. He spoke on the radio and went to the Bay State Banner and spoke there in many, many interviews. So he single-handedly helped to educate the Commonwealth. So today we really just wanted to present him with a signed copy of the Clock Walker Bill.
The celebrations ended with a unity march in the snow through Lexington Center.
The Association of Black Citizens of Lexington, or ABCL, marked the month with portrait banners that honor those who contributed to Lexington and American history and culture.
Our mission is to build a larger, more vibrant black community in Lexington and to share the history of over 400 years of black residents in our town.
I want to make a point that through it all, my mom still fought for everyone's place in this town. And through that love of our friends and neighbors, we made a place, and I see many of them here. And again, thank you for coming.
They bought their first home, their only home here in Lexington in the spring of 1968. He went on to become very active locally. There weren't a lot of black families at the time, but the population was actually growing. And at one point, the population of black families in Lexington was higher than it is today. My father loves this town and he is such an extrovert. He's such a community person. He's such a generous, caring person. He loves to engage, and to be honored by this town that he took so much pride in ownership, so much pride in participation and involvement and in community, just means the world, and really truly just validates, his life.
As we started to share the stories amongst ourselves of the different waves of Black people coming into town, realized that we need to have a place to store that information. That it can't just be oral history, something that I knew or other folks might know, that it needed a repository for it. And so that was where it has become the Black History Project of Lexington.
My father was one of the many pioneers. My mother talked about pioneers all the time, and with her Southern accent, it came out pioneers, from the Black community, whose accomplishments are getting wider recognition now, and I'm happy to know that. I'm sure we all are. And thanks to this organization for its role in this.
Now we looked at who are the Lexington residents, the greater Boston residents, and the folks across Massachusetts that have impacted Lexington and the country as a whole. And we're really lucky here in Lexington that we have folks like the Burdews who were here when it was Cambridge Farms. And so we have their grandson who fought on the Green as one of our banner honorees. And then on the other hand, we have folks like Leona Martin and the 3 banner honorees tonight who are our 20th century residents. And what have they done? So we span that entire expanse of time from colonial Lexington to the present. Our goal is that everyone, whether they live in town or they're looking at our banners online, can celebrate Black excellence from MLK Monday to the last day of February.
You can learn more on their website, abclex.org, and the banners are on display at Kerry Memorial Library through February. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Lexington marked the Lunar New Year with performances by local and regional organizations that included dancing, parades, and of course, great food. The Year of the Rabbit was celebrated first at Kerry Hall and then in a magnificent first ever Lantern Festival held at the Depot.
My name is Hua Wang, and I'm the co-president of Chinese American Association of Lexington. This is the main organization that's behind this great event. Lunar New Year celebration is one of the Cal traditional events for nearly 4 decades. Lunar New Year, it's celebrated in many cultures. Of course, it's also celebrated in China. And it's celebrated in Vietnam and South Korea. And for example, in China, we call it the Spring Festival, or even Chinese New Year occasionally. And in Korean, they call it Korean New Year. And Vietnam has their own taking. The nice thing about it, it is a transcend culture, and it's universally celebrating in many parts of the world. Right, the White House has a Lunar New Year reception this year for the first time in the history of White House. Yeah. Wow. This year we actually had 2 major events. First one is on the Lunar New Year Day. It was January 22nd. That was actually New Year Day, and then so we ring in the New Year together as a community. right? But in the Lunar New Year or Spring Festival celebration, the tradition is this is a 2-week celebration. So it started with the Lunar New Year, actually the eve before, and then all the way last to the Lantern Festival. So this is the first time we actually sort of do the full choose of the Spring Festival Lunar New Year celebration, having this 2-week event, right?
Hello everyone, my name is Ting Fan. I'm the Executive Director of New Legacy Cultural Center and the event chair of the Lantern Festival celebration. The Lantern Festival hasn't really been promoted as much, and it is a very fun holiday and very important festival. It's a holiday that everyone is invited to celebrate and enjoy together. And this is a time to lift everybody's spirit up and find something, fun for everyone to enjoy. So one of the things that we've run into also is, people are more comfortable within our community, within our groups, speaking our own language and following our own tradition. When you hear about something that you're not familiar with, you'll go like, oh, it's just something that, from another group. But when something that is happening within your own community with the people that you know of, that makes it a difference. Oh my gosh, I can tell you how excited the whole team is about it, especially the New Legacy team, because we are really contemplating this for a while already, and because it's visibility, even if they don't get to participate at the event itself, they saw this and they'll go like, "Ooh, something's going on here," right? And then it's so pretty that it helps people making great impression about this whole thing. And for the kids especially, they will then have this good memory about when I was young, I remember there was a Lantern Festival. It's even though it's not a Western holiday, it's something that'll live, and at some point they probably blossom.
So Lantern Festival celebration is unique here. Yesterday I mentioned is we're making history in the sense this is the first time in Lexington and probably in many other parts of Massachusetts in the nation, as a community we celebrate the Lantern Festival together. But this year the two events happen to fall right on the Lunar New Year Day and the Lantern Festival Day. Back at the Kerry Hall, it was also a full house, and the custodian told us, you guys use every inch of the Kerry Hall. So it was crowded, just the typical New Year, atmosphere celebration you would have. And last night here, the turnout is great. It's amazing turnout. Of course, there are going to be many, good memories. And especially, you remember, we also made wishes together. So the whole idea is this is something special for both Lunar New Year and the Lantern Day. People making wishes, and then so that's basically the wishes for the whole year. So we're hoping as a community, our wishes will come true. Yeah.
Keeping the theme of the Lunar New Year, LexArt held the exhibit Cross Currents, an exploration in the convergence of Chinese and American culture and its effect on artistic production. We spoke with LexArt Executive Director Matthew Siegel over Zoom.
The title and the theme was the idea of bridging the communities and Chinese American artists, working in the U.S., influenced by Western painting tradition, and American artists influenced by East Asian tradition and Chinese brush painting. Looking for each of the cultures influencing one another and the cross-fertilization that happens in the arts are the same as in civic life. I'm a firm believer in that the arts are a universal language. And it was interesting that many of the people the artists that we work with, were non-English speakers, and some of the exchanges between us were fairly amusing. Many of them had to hold up their phones and use the translation, app or devices on their phones in order to either understand what it was we were trying to say or try to get, or try to respond to us. But I think that what people are able to express visually is a clear demonstration about the things that we all, regardless of, race and culture, that we all have in common and that we all share. And it's a very basic language that, again, that it's sort of innate for all of us, the need to create and the ability to understand what it is that other people are trying to express. It demonstrates the commonality of all of humanity, the things that that we all share. And we tried our hardest to put it on display for the community.
Stick with us. We'll be right back with our story on the LEF Trivia Bee. Perennial favorite, the LEF Trivia Bee, took place at Lexington High School in late January. Terry Samaras covered the action.
On January 19th, there was certainly a buzz in the air as the Lexington Education Foundation held their annual Trivia Bee at Lexington High School to determine which team in Lexington has the brains to become the Master of Trivia champion in 2023. Past president of LEF, Raquel Leader, was on hand to host and interview the winners of each swarm, as well as multiple members of LEF, such as Trivia Bee host Jeff Leonard and the judges of the Trivia Bee.
We're super excited for a fun evening of trivia and friendly competition. This is one of LEF's most important events. It's loved by so many because it really supports the mission of LEF, which is to bring the community together to foster innovation in teaching and in lifelong learning. We have 23 teams, 4 full swarms of parents, teachers, students, administrators. We have people from nonprofit organizations in town, and as well as from other organizations and many businesses in town. So one of the things that's really interesting, keep an eye out for, is the team that won last year, to be determined. And it's all fun and games, but the fun and games go to support a fabulous cause. And I think I hear some buzzing going on in the auditorium, so let's hop on in there.
Mount Greylock is the highest point in Massachusetts. In which town is the peak of Mount Greylock located? Boards up, please. And the answer is North Adams. We have a winner. The Hive School Quiz Show will take the first swarm.
My name's Evan Bowens.
I'm Rory Fox.
I'm Lauren Wu.
And we are all seniors on the high school quiz show team, the show that airs on GBH. And so we decided to name our team the Hive School Quiz Show team.
Awesome. And how did you know about Mount Greylock?
It feels a little pretentious to say lucky guesswork, but I think that's kind of what it was.
But would it be more pretentious to say that I'm very good at geography?
Maybe.
2022 saw the first transport of a pig to human of this organ. We have a winner. The answer is heart. Be an engineer has walked off with Swarm 2 today.
So I'm Lisa. This is our 4th year doing this, and we have never won a swarm before. So
Never.
We're super excited.
Yeah. And I'm Graham. Very excited.
I'm Scott. Excited too.
Excellent. And so how did you know it was the heart?
That was based on a guess, based on similar physiologies, but a guess for sure.
In the first box of Crayola crayons introduced in 1903, how many colors were there? We have a winner. There were 8 in the first. Congratulations to the Harrington Give Bees a Chance.
We are from Harrington. I'm Jackie Daly, Julie Goff,
Rory O'Connor.
And the last one, little tricky, the crayon question. We went with colors of the rainbow and then added in, what about black?
Ah.
And that's how we came to the number 8.
Name the author who released her second book, The Light We Carry, in 2022. It looks like we have a winner, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama. So congratulations to Beam Us Up.
So we are here from Diamond Middle School. We are all science teachers. I teach 7th grade science, and they both teach 8th grade science. In our last question, I actually just finished the book written by her. She's a great author. She also reads it on Audible, so if you want to listen to her read the book, she reads her book as well. So
Excellent.
highly recommend it.
The NASA-funded mission, launched in November 2022, marked America's return to the moon. We have a winner. Swarm 4 from our final swarm. And the answer, of course, is Artemis 1. Artemis. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations. I thought you'd be back, and you guys got a science question, which was perfect for you.
In the end, Beam Us Up was able to answer the final question correctly and were crowned 2023 Masters of Trivia. So congratulations to Whitney Factor, Wendy Moy, and Kenny Dautrick on their incredible trivia skills, and we hope to see them return next year and defend their championship. From all of us here at LexMedia, back to you in studio.
Last, but certainly not least, young Lexingtonians from the middle and elementary schools carry on Lexington's rich musical history with their winter concerts. Have a listen and enjoy. We'll see you next time.